The royal summons arrived at dawn, carried by messenger who looked like he'd ridden through hell to deliver it. Probably had. Deadlands crossing was no joke, even with hazmat protocols and military escort. Mira Thornhaven took the sealed parchment with hands that had sutured battlefield wounds, amputated frozen limbs, and held dying soldiers while they breathed their last. 13 years as combat medic left marks that didn't wash off. She broke the seal. By order of His Majesty King Garrett Blackwater, Dr. Mira Thornhaven is hereby summoned to the royal capital with all haste. The king commands your immediate presence for medical consultation of utmost urgency. Failure to comply will result in charges of treason. Short, direct, terrifying. The messenger, young Beta barely out of training, shifted his weight. Ma'am, I'm authorized to tell you the king is dying. Both Crown Prince Kaelan and Prince Daveth are also infected. They have maybe 4 days. You're their last chance. Mira looked past him at Greymore Monastery, where she'd spent 7 years since Northern Campaign ended. Studying, hiding, trying to forget the smell of burning flesh, and the sound of soldiers screaming as frostbite turned their bones to ice. What are the symptoms? Crystallization, internal freezing, loss of shift capability. Same as Northern Campaign casualties, but faster, much faster. Her blood went cold. That's not possible. Frostbite was destroyed after the war, all samples eliminated. My mother made sure She stopped. Before they executed her for creating it. Someone remade it, Messenger said quietly, and they're using it on the royal family. 20 minutes later, Mira was packed. Medical kit, mother's research journals, saved from execution pyre by sympathetic soldiers. Clothes she hadn't worn in 7 years. As she mounted the transport, she caught her reflection in polished metal. 38 years old, gray, already streaking dark hair, scars visible on hands, neck, face. Omega designation marked clearly on military IDs she still carried. The monastery's mother superior approached, elderly Omega who'd sheltered her after the purge. You don't have to go. They exiled Omegas from military service. Executed your mother. They have no right to demand your help. They have dying king, Mira replied, and 2 princes who'll tear kingdom apart fighting over succession if their father dies without clear decree. Personal grudges don't outweigh that. Your mother thought the same. Look where it got her. Mira climbed into transport. Then I'll be smarter than she was. The journey to capital took 8 hours. Time Mira spent reviewing mother's notes on frostbite. Original formula had been elegant. Dr. Mira Thornhaven's attempt to create humane warfare. Weapon that froze enemies without bloodshed, allowed revival with quick antidote administration. But alpha physiology had reacted catastrophically. Healing factor that normally closed wounds in hours instead accelerated crystallization. Turned controlled freezing into agonizing death as internal organs turned to ice. 300 civilians had died in first deployment before mother tried to stop it. They'd executed her for treason, for refusing to perfect the weapon, for trying to destroy her own research. Mira had been 31, serving as field medic in Northern Campaign, had watched mother's execution via mandatory military broadcast, had survived the purge that followed, systematic elimination of Omegas from military ranks, 500 Omega soldiers dead or disappeared in 3 months. She'd survived by running, by hiding, by becoming invisible. Now the same system that had nearly killed her was begging for help. Transport crossed into Capital District as sun set. City looked different from 7 years ago. Cleaner, more prosperous. War's devastation rebuilt. But Mira saw undertones. Military checkpoints every quarter mile, citizens showing ID cards, walls higher, windows barred. Peace built on control, victory that felt like occupation. Royal Palace loomed ahead, white stone fortress that had stood 1,000 years. Flags flying at half-mast, guards in full hazmat gear at every entrance. Quarantine protocols that should have been implemented on day 1 if this really was frostbite. Someone had delayed response deliberately, wanted maximum infection before treatment began. Chief Medical Officer met her at entrance, harried alpha in his 60s. Dr. Thornhaven, thank God, I'm Dr. Marcus Steele. We've tried everything. Nothing works. The king has maybe 48 hours. Prince is slightly longer, but not much. Show me the patients. Royal Infirmary had been converted to isolation ward. 12 beds, 8 occupied. King Garrett in center, flanked by his sons. Other patients were advisors, guards, servants who had been in close contact, all showing same symptoms. Gray-white crystallization spreading from extremities inward. Labored breathing. Dilated pupils from pain medication that barely worked. Loss of shift capability that left alphas feeling violated at cellular level. Mira approached King's bed. Garrett Blackwater looked nothing like the warrior king she remembered from recruitment posters. Face gaunt, skin translucent, left arm completely crystallized to shoulder. But eyes were sharp, alert. Dr. Thornhaven, his voice rattled. Alara's daughter, I remember you. Field Hospital, Northern Campaign, you saved my nephew. Yes, Your Majesty. I executed your mother. Direct. No apology. Statement of fact. Yes, Your Majesty. And now I'm asking you to save my life. He coughed, blood on lips, darker than it should be. Ironic, isn't it? Irony is luxury, sire. Let me examine you. She worked methodically, checked vitals, examined crystallization patterns, drew blood samples, all while aware of two sets of eyes watching from adjacent beds. Crown Prince Kaelan Blackwater, 35 years old, built like the warrior he was. Less infected than his father, maybe 3 days before critical stage. Face was mask of controlled rage. Hated being helpless. Hated needing Omega help. Hated everything about the situation. Prince Daveth Blackwater, 40 years old, leaner than his brother, but no less dangerous. Strategist, diplomat. The prince who'd advocated for Omega rights before Purge, then gone silent when push came to shove. Infection slightly less advanced than Kaelan's. Watching Mira with calculation rather than rage. Different men, different approaches, same royal arrogance. This is modified frostbite, Mira announced. Someone took Mother's formula and weaponized it further. Faster onset, more lethal, designed to kill alphas specifically while leaving betas and omegas relatively unaffected. Can you cure it? Kaelan demanded. Can you tell me who had access to Mother's research? All samples were supposed to be destroyed. Silence. Then Daveth spoke. Chief of Defense Silas Thornhaven maintained classified bioweapon research program. Your brother, I believe. The world tilted. What? Your brother, King Garrett confirmed. Brilliant strategist. Rose through ranks after Purge. Currently oversees all military research and development. Has access to everything, including your mother's sealed files. Silas. Her brother who'd abandoned her during Purge to save his career. Who'd watched Mother's execution without protest. Who'd taught Mira to fight when they were children, then left her to die when it mattered. Where is he now? Coordinating kingdom defense, Dr. Steele said. Border crisis. He's been away for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Exactly when first symptoms would have started if infection was deliberate. Timing perfect for someone who wanted king and princes incapacitated, who wanted succession crisis. I need to see Mother's research files. All of them. And I need access to whoever prepared the king's meals, handled his correspondence, had physical contact in the last month. You think this was assassination? Kaelan asked. I think modified frostbite doesn't spread through air or water. Requires direct administration. Someone poisoned you. Question is who and why. King Garrett struggled to sit up. Failed. Dr. Thornhaven, I'm dying. My sons are dying. Kingdom will tear itself apart without clear succession. I need you to do 2 things. Your Majesty, first cure this. Use whatever you need, full royal resources, access to anything. And second, his eyes moved between his sons. I'm decreeing marriage, traditional solution to succession crisis. My heir will be determined by who proves worthy not just of crown, but of partner who makes them better. You will choose between my sons. Your choice determines succession. The room went silent. Even medical equipment seemed to hold its breath. You're insane, Mira said flatly. I'm Omega, former military. Your son's future queen can be anything I decree, Garrett interrupted. You saved my nephew's life when you could have let him die. You're Alara's daughter, carrying her knowledge. You're combat veteran who's seen worst of war. And you're smart enough to see through royal bullshit to character beneath. Exactly who I want evaluating my sons. This is medieval, Kaelan protested. Father, you can't seriously... Can and am. You want throne, you court the doctor. You prove to her you're worthy. She chooses who becomes king. Garrett looked at Mira. You have 4 days to cure us and decide. After that, either I live and announce succession, or I die and you announce it. Either way, your choice stands. I refuse. Then you're executed for treason and everyone dies anyway. Choose. Mira looked at 3 dying men. At kingdom's fate hanging on her medical skill and romantic choice. At system that had destroyed her family now demanding she save it. I need to examine the princes, privately, one at a time. Granted, Garrett said. Kaelan first, he's crown prince. Kaelan was moved to private examination room, protesting the entire way. Once they were alone, Mira locked the door. Strip. Excuse me? You heard me. I need to examine full extent of crystallization. That means close off. He glared but complied. Body was landscape of scars, combat wounds, training injuries. Life spent preparing to be warrior king. Crystallization covered right side from hip to ribs, spreading slowly but inevitably toward vital organs. Mira examined him clinically, pressed fingers to crystallize flesh, felt unnatural cold, saw him wince. Hurts? Like ice in my veins. Good means nerves still function. You'll need pain medication during treatment. I don't need... You're not impressing anyone by suffering. Take the medication. He studied her, really looked for first time. You were at Northern Campaign, Medical Corps, Field Hospital 7, treated casualties from 3rd Battalion. My battalion. Recognition dawning. You're the one who saved Captain Morrison. Stayed with him through 18-hour surgery when everyone said he'd die. He had family waiting, worth the effort. You were Omega. They purged you after war. They tried, I ran faster. Silence. Kaelan processing. Then, I didn't know about purge until after. Was commanding border garrison. By time I returned, it was done. I'm sorry. First apology she'd heard from royalty. Didn't fix anything, but meant something. Your brother, Kaelan continued. Daveth tried to stop it. Advocated for Omega rights. Father overruled him. I didn't speak up because I thought it was political theater. Didn't realize Omegas were actually dying until months later. Why tell me this? Because Father's marriage decree is real. You're going to choose one of us. You should know who we are, not who we pretend to be. Mira finished examination. Crystallization will reach your heart in approximately 70 hours. I can synthesize antidote, but it requires omega pheromones in specific physiological state. Essentially, I need to nearly die to save you. Then don't. Let me die. Choose Daveth. He's better king anyway. Better how? He thinks. I just fight. Kingdom needs thinker, not warrior. I'm good at killing, not much else. Killing is skill. Knowing when not to kill is wisdom. Which do you have? He met her eyes. Neither. That's problem. Honest. Refreshingly so. Most princes would posture. Kaelan just admitted inadequacy. Get dressed. Send Daveth in. Prince Daveth entered with book under his arm. Set it on examination table. Medical text on omega biology. Thought you might find it useful. Subtle. Showing he'd researched her specialty. Trying to impress through intellectual common ground. Strip. He smiled. Direct. I appreciate that. Disrobed efficiently, no false modesty. Body leaner than Kaelan's, but equally scarred. Different pattern, though. These weren't combat wounds. These were training injuries. Practice blade cuts. Study scars. Crystallization covered his left leg, hip to knee. Less advanced than father or brother. You're progressing slower, Mira observed. I've been taking preventative measures, herbal supplements, heat therapy. Slows crystallization but doesn't stop it. How did you know to do that? I read your mother's research. Before it was classified, understood implications. Smart, proactive, but also suggested he'd known about frostbite threat before infection, which raised questions. When did you start preventative treatment? 3 weeks ago. Before symptoms appeared? I suspected poisoning attempt. Took precautions. Suspected but didn't warn your father or brother? Pause. Then, I warned them. They didn't believe me. Thought I was creating drama to undermine Kaelan's position as crown prince. Mira examined crystallization carefully. Pattern was different from others. Almost like, you weren't poisoned with same formula. This is original frostbite, not modified version. Daveth's expression didn't change. Interesting observation. Someone gave you original formula. Slower acting, less lethal, while giving King and Kaelan modified version designed to kill them faster, which suggests 2 poisoners, or 1 poisoner with different goals for different targets. Your mind works quickly. Your evasion confirms my theory. Who poisoned you, Daveth, and why different formula? He dressed slowly, buying time. If I tell you you'll choose Kaelan, think I'm trying to murder my way to throne. If you don't tell me, I'll assume that anyway. Fair point. He sat. I poisoned myself with original frostbite, carefully controlled dose. Wanted to understand it, how it worked, how to survive it. Because I knew someone would weaponize Mother's research eventually, wanted to be ready. You experimented on yourself? Better than experimenting on others. I studied every medical text I could find on omega biology, on adaptation, on how your physiology metabolizes toxins. Then I tested whether alpha biology could learn same trick. Insane, brilliant, completely reckless. Did it work? Partially, I'm not dead, but I can't cure it either. Just slow progression. Your antidote is only real solution. And your father? Brother? They received modified frostbite from actual poisoner? Yes, I've been investigating for 3 weeks. Haven't identified source. Whoever did this had access to royal quarters, medical facility, and Mother's classified research. Very short list of suspects. Your brother Silas is on that list. At the top, Daveth's face hardened. He's been consolidating military power for years. Purge eliminated Omega opposition. Border crisis gives him excuse to deploy troops. King and crown prince dying creates succession crisis. Perfect opportunity for military coup. Then why make me choose? Why not just take throne? Because father's marriage decree is public. Broadcast to entire kingdom. Silas can't overturn it without looking like tyrant, so he'll work to influence your choice. Make sure you pick candidate he can control. Which is? Not me. I've opposed his policies for years. He wants Kaelan, traditional warrior who'll delegate policy to advisors, specifically to Chief of Defense who happens to be his brother. Politics. Always politics. Even dying royalty played games. What do you want? Mira asked. I want kingdom where Omegas aren't purged for existing, where bioweapons aren't developed in secret, where my brother can't orchestrate assassinations without consequence. I want to be king who fixes what father broke. Noble goals, also self-serving ones. I'm not saint, I want power, but I wanted to build something better, not maintain status quo. Mira studied him, saw ambition, saw intelligence, saw someone who'd poisoned himself to prove a point. If I choose you, Silas will try to kill us both. Yes, if I choose Kaelan, you'll spend rest of your life undermining his rule. Probably. If I refuse to choose, you all die and kingdom descends into civil war. Definitely. She laughed. Couldn't help it. Situation was absurd. Father's decree makes terrible tactical sense. Giving Omega power to determine succession creates more problems than it solves. Unless goal isn't succession. Goal is forcing sons to prove worth, making them compete not through combat but through character. Father knows he's dying, wants to see which of us can earn loyalty rather than demand it. And he's using me as test. Using you as judge. There's difference. Maybe. Or maybe she was pawning games she didn't understand. Either way, people were dying. That much was real. I need to synthesize antidote. That takes priority over romantic decisions. Agreed. What do you need? Access to Mother's complete research, Omega Physiology Lab, privacy for synthesis procedure, and someone I trust to monitor vitals while I'm under. You have everything except last item. Who do you trust? Good question. In palace full of conspirators and assassins, who could she trust? No one, Mira admitted, which is problem. Daveth considered. I'll do it. I have medical training, basic but functional, and I have vested interest in keeping you alive since you're only one who can cure me. You just admitted to self-poisoning with bioweapon. Your judgment is suspect. Fair, but I'm your best option. Kaelan's too sick to monitor medical procedure. Father's dying. Royal physicians answer to Silas. I'm literally the least worst choice. He was right. She hated that he was right. Fine, but if I died during synthesis, you inherit nothing. Make sure I survive. Noted. She spent next 12 hours in Mother's laboratory, preserved exactly as it had been 7 years ago. Research notes, equipment, samples that should have been destroyed, but someone had saved. Someone who'd known this knowledge would be needed again. Synthesis procedure required inducing controlled hypothermia, pushing body to edge of death, triggering Omega Biology's stress response that produced specific pheromones, then extracting those pheromones while body was still in crisis state. Survival rate even in ideal conditions was maybe 60%. In palace where someone was actively trying to kill her? Lower. Mira prepared equipment, set up monitoring, reviewed Mother's notes one final time, found addendum in different handwriting. Recent, within last week. Daughter, if you're reading this, I'm still alive. They didn't execute me, I escaped. I've been watching, Waiting. Silas is planning coup. Don't trust anyone in palace. Formula Wine left requires omega pheromones, but I've developed alternative. Check laboratory cabinet 7, false bottom. Use that instead. Survive. We'll meet again. Love, Mother. Mira's hands shook. Mother alive? For 7 years she'd thought Alara dead, mourned her, built life around absence. And she'd been alive, watching, leaving messages in laboratories she knew Mira would eventually access. Cabinet 7, false bottom, hidden formula. She found it. Vial of clear liquid, note attached. Synthesized from my own adapted biology, antidote stable, requires no additional pheromone extraction, enough for 12 doses. Save them. Save yourself. Destroy Silas's plans. Alternative to suicide procedure. Alternative to death. Mother had given her way out, but 12 doses. 8 patients currently infected. 4 doses spare. What if more people got sick? What if formula wasn't stable? What if Mother was wrong? Decision point. Trust Mother's research or trust traditional synthesis. Daveth entered laboratory. Ready? Mira looked at vial, at synthesis equipment, at choice between certainty and risk. Change of plans, she said. Mother left alternative antidote. Enough for everyone. No synthesis needed. Convenient. His eyes narrowed. Too convenient. Could be trap. Could be salvation. How do we test it? Mira drew dose into syringe. On me, I've had chronic frostbite exposure from Deadlands Crossing. Minor but present. If this works, I'll show immediate improvement. If it kills me, you know not to use it on others. That's insane. That's medical research. She injected before he could stop her. Cold hit her veins. Different from frostbite. This was burning cold, like fire made of ice. Body trying to integrate foreign substance while fighting toxin already present. She fell. Daveth caught her. Later on examination table. Monitored vitals. Heart rate spiking. Temperature dropping. Cellular response abnormal. Mira felt it happening. Body changing. Adapting. Using antidote to metabolize existing toxin. Converting poison to immunity. Mother's research working at level deeper than anyone had understood. Omega biology as adaptation engine, not weakness. Evolution. 10 minutes, 20, 30, temperature stabilized, heart rate normalized. Or minimized, cold sensation faded. She sat up, felt different, stronger. Crystallization that had been forming on her hands from Deadlands exposure was gone, reversed completely. It works, Daveth breathed. She actually did it. Mother always did. Mira stood, steadied herself. Get the others. We're curing everyone, tonight. Treatment began within the hour. King first, then Kaelan, then Daveth, then remaining patients. Each injection producing same response. Brief crisis, then adaptation, then recovery. By dawn, everyone was improving. Crystallization reversing, vital signs stabilizing, pain decreasing. King Barrett sat up in bed for first time in weeks, color returning to face. Remarkable. Alara's work saves lives even from beyond grave. She's not dead, Mira said quietly. Left me message. She's alive. Hiding. Watching. Silence. Then Kaelan. Where? Didn't say, but she warned about Silas. Said he's planning coup. Then we arrest him, Kaelan decided. Court-martial. Execution for treason. On what evidence? Daveth countered. Message from supposedly dead traitor? His sister's testimony? That won't hold up. We need proof. We need him away from military, Garrett said. Stronger now. Authority returning. Mira, have you made your choice? About marriage? No. Haven't had time between synthesizing cures and preventing coups. Make time. Kingdom needs stability. Announcement happens tomorrow at state dinner. You choose Prince. I announce succession. Then we deal with Silas. Mira looked between brothers. Kaelan, who'd admitted inadequacy honestly. Daveth, who'd poisoned himself pursuing knowledge. Both flawed, both trying, both dangerous in different ways. I need to speak with them. Separately. One final conversation before deciding. Granted, you have until tomorrow evening. She met with Kaelan first. He'd requested meeting in Palace Training Yard. Found him running sword drills despite doctor's orders. You're supposed to be resting. I've rested for 3 weeks. Enough. He completed form. Perfect technique. Body moving with precision that came from decades of practice. You wanted to talk? About marriage. About what happens if I choose you. He sheathed sword. If you choose me, I become king. I'll be good at military defense, terrible at domestic policy. I'll delegate most governance to advisors, spend my time with troops, probably get us into wars we don't need, but I'll protect kingdom's borders, keep people safe from external threats. And internal threats? Like Silas, I'll execute him publicly, send message that betrayal has consequences, even though he's your brother-in-law, especially because can't show favoritism. That's how corruption spreads. Mira watched him drill, saw dedication, saw simplicity, saw a man who understood violence and little else. Why do you want to be king? Don't. Want to serve. Being king is just how alphas serve at highest level. What if serving means not being king? What if your brother is better suited? He stopped drilling. Then you should choose him. I'm not ego-driven enough to destroy kingdom over title. Crown is responsibility, not prize. If Daveth can carry it better, he should have it. Honest answer. No political calculation, just truth. And us, the marriage. We'd be partners. I'm not romantic. Don't believe in love at first sight or soulmates. But I believe in loyalty, in commitment, in choosing someone and honoring that choice. You'd have my respect, my protection, my fidelity, not my poetry or grand gestures. I don't need poetry. Good, because you wouldn't get any. She smiled despite herself. That's terrible courtship. It's honest courtship, which is better. Maybe it was. She met Daveth in Royal Library, found him surrounded by texts on Omega biology, historical succession crises, and agricultural reform. Studying? Always. Learning stops when you think you know enough. He gestured to chair. Sit. I owe you explanation. About? Self-poisoning. You deserve to know why I did something so reckless. Mira sat. I'm listening. 5 years ago, I watched Father order purge. Watched 500 Omegas disappear. Watched Mother's execution. Saw how easily kingdom turned against people based on biology. And I realized any weapon that targets specific biology can be turned on anyone. Alphas today, betas tomorrow. Anyone who disagrees with power structure. So you tested frostbite on yourself. I tested whether understanding weapon meant developing resistance, whether knowledge could become defense. I failed, but I learned that Omega adaptation is real, that your biology isn't weakness, that Mother was right about everything, except part where she got executed. Yes, except that. He leaned forward. If you choose me, I'll spend my reign undoing purge, reinstating Omegas in military, funding research into adaptation biology, making kingdom where your mother's work saves lives instead of taking them. But I'll also be target. Silas will try to kill me. Probably succeed eventually. Choose me, and you choose danger. As opposed to choosing Kaelan, which is perfectly safe. Kaelan faces external danger, enemies at borders, combat he understands. I face internal danger, conspiracies, politics, assassinations, different type of threat. Which king does kingdom need? Both, but Father's only giving you one. Mira studied him, saw intelligence, saw ambition, saw someone who'd risk death for knowledge. Reminded her of Mother, which was both comforting and terrifying. If I choose you, what happens to Kaelan? He becomes general of armies, position Father created for him, leads military while I handle governance. We work together instead of competing. You've planned this. I plan everything. It's both strength and weakness. The state dinner was an elaborate affair. Entire court present, nobles, military officers, foreign ambassadors, everyone watching to see who Omega former combat medic would choose as future king. Mira wore dress she'd borrowed from palace stores. Simple, practical, no jewelry. She'd refused royal makeover. Wasn't going to pretend to be something she wasn't. King Garrett stood, recovered enough to address court. 7 days ago, I was dying. My sons were dying. Kingdom faced succession crisis that would have torn us apart. One person saved us. Omega physician Mira Thornhaven, using her mother's research. In gratitude and in recognition of her service, I decreed she would choose between my sons. Her choice determines succession. Tonight, she announces decision. Silence fell, every eye on Mira. She stood, faced crowd, saw Silas in back, face carefully neutral, saw nobles calculating political implications, saw common people genuinely curious. I've spent 4 days getting to know Crown Prince Kaelan and Prince Daveth. Both are capable. Both would serve kingdom well. Both have flaws and strengths. I've made my choice based on what I believe kingdom needs most urgently. Pause for effect. Let tension build. Kingdom needs healing, needs reform, needs to address wounds from war and purge, needs to prove it values all citizens regardless of biology. For these reasons, I choose Prince Daveth Blackwater as my husband and future king. Explosion of reaction, cheering from some quarters, protests from others. Silas's face went cold. Kaelan stood, crossed to Daveth, extended hand. Congratulations, brother. Serve well. Daveth clasped it. You'll stand with me? As general? Always. King Garrett raised his hand for silence. Then it's decided. Prince Daveth Blackwater is named Crown Prince and heir. Marriage will occur in 1 week. Coronation follows immediately after my death, whenever that may be. Private celebration that night was smaller. Just royal family. Mira. Few trusted advisors. Daveth found her on balcony overlooking Capitol. Second thoughts? Third and fourth thoughts. I chose you because I think you'll make changes kingdom needs. But I also chose you knowing it makes us targets. Silas will move against us soon. Before wedding? Most likely. Eliminate me, claim it was frostbite complication. Mira dies in grief. Kaelan becomes king. Silas controls kingdom through him. You say this like you're expecting it. I am. I've planned counter moves for 17 different assassination scenarios. Want to hear them? She laughed. You're insane. Thoroughly, but you chose me anyway. I chose you because someone needs to undo damage from Purge. Because Omegas deserve better. Because Mother died trying to prove we're not weak. She looked at him. Don't make me regret it. I'll try not to. No promises, though. I'm terrible at promises. Honest, I appreciate that. He moved closer. I should kiss you. Sealing engagement and all. Should you? Probably, but I'm not romantic, remember? I don't know how to do this. Neither do I. Maybe we figure it out together. Novel approach to royal marriage. Nothing about this marriage is traditional. He kissed her. Awkward at first, then better. Not passionate, not desperate, just honest. Two people choosing each other despite impossible circumstances. When they broke apart, Mira saw movement in shadows, guards repositioning, someone watching. We're being observed, she murmured. Always. Get used to it. Wonderful. But as they stood together overlooking kingdom they'd soon rule, Mira felt something she hadn't in 7 years. Hope. Not naive optimism, realistic hope that change might actually be possible. If they survived long enough to make it. That night, secure in her quarters, Mira found another message from Mother. Hidden in medical supplies she'd been given. Different handwriting. Recent. Proud of you. Smart choice. Daveth will need ally. You'll need backup. I'm coming. 3 days. Trust no one until then, especially not Silas. Coup happens soon. Be ready. Love, Mother. 3 days. Mother would reveal herself in 3 days. Coup would happen before then. Mira began preparing. Not for wedding, for war. The assassination attempt came 2 days before the wedding. Mira had been expecting it, had even prepared for 17 different scenarios, courtesy of Daveth's paranoid planning sessions. What she hadn't expected was the method, poisoned wedding dress. She discovered it during final fitting. Seamstress bringing fabric close to her face so she could check embroidery detail. Caught scent that didn't belong. Sweet, cloying, same smell as frostbite reagent before it crystallized. Stop, Mira commanded. Grabbed Seamstress's hand before a woman could drape fabric over her shoulders. Don't touch it to skin. My lady, I don't understand. This fabric is poisoned, contact poison, designed to absorb through skin. Clear the room now. Chaos erupted. Guards rushing in, royal physicians summoned, dress sealed in hazmat container. Seamstress detained for questioning. Woman was terrified, swearing ignorance, probably telling truth. Whoever had poisoned dress had done it earlier in supply chain. Daveth arrived within minutes, took one look at sealed container and went pale. Frostbite derivative, contact absorption, you would have died putting it on. Slowly, Mira corrected. Over hours. Painful. Public. During wedding ceremony, ideally. Maximum chaos, maximum trauma. Perfect setup for military intervention. Kaelan entered, still in training gear. What happened? Someone tried to kill your future queen, Daveth said flatly. During our wedding, in front of entire kingdom. Kaelan's hand went to sword. Who? Short list of suspects. Seamstress has been questioned. She's innocent. Dress was delivered to palace yesterday from Royal Clothing Workshop. 5 people handled it between workshop and fitting room, all being detained. I want Silas questioned, Mira said. He's at border garrison, Daveth replied. Convenient timing. Too convenient. He's establishing alibi while operatives here execute his plan. King aware as he had been informed, arrived looking stronger than he had in weeks. Frostbite cure working perfectly, which made assassination attempt more desperate. Whoever wanted coup needed to act before King recovered completely. This is act of war, Garrett announced. Attempted murder of Crown Prince's betrothed. We will find who did this. We will execute them. Publicly. We need to cancel wedding, Kaelan said. Too dangerous. Reschedule after threat is eliminated. No, Mira and Daveth said simultaneously. Kaelan looked between them. You're both insane. Canceling wedding gives conspirators exactly what they want, Daveth explained. Delay, uncertainty, time to regroup and try again. We proceed as planned, but we change everything else. Different venue, different security, different dress. We make it impossible to predict. And we set trap, Mira added. Let conspirators think wedding is still vulnerable. Draw them out. Catch them attempting second assassination. Using yourselves as bait, Kaelan said. Terrible plan. It's excellent plan, Garrett countered. Turning defense into offense. I approve. But we need more security, someone we trust absolutely. There's no one we trust absolutely, Daveth said. Silas has infiltrated everything. Guards, staff, advisors. We're surrounded by potential traitors. Mira thought about Mother's message. Coming in 3 days, which was exactly wedding day. Timing too precise to be coincidence. I know someone, she said carefully. Someone with vested interest in stopping Silas. Someone who has resources and knowledge we need. Who? Garrett asked. Dr. Mira Thornhaven, my mother, she's alive. Silence, then explosion of reactions. That's impossible, Garrett said. I watched her execution. You watched staged execution. She escaped with help from sympathetic soldiers. She's been hiding for 7 years, gathering evidence against Silas. She's been leaving me messages. Why didn't you mention this before? Kaelan demanded. Because I didn't know if messages were real or trap. Because revealing her existence endangers her. Because trusting anyone in this palace is suicide. Mira met Garrett's eyes. But I'm out of options. We need her. Her knowledge. Her resources. Her testimony about Silas's bioweapon program. Garrett processed. If Alara is alive, if she can prove Silas's treason, we can arrest him without political fallout. Her word carries weight. Scientific authority. Moral authority from surviving false execution. If she's alive, Daveth emphasized, could still be trap. Only one way to find out, Mira said. She told me to meet her. 3 days, which is tomorrow now. Wedding day. Where? Kaelan asked. Didn't specify, but I think I know. Mira pulled out Mother's research journal, flipped to marked page. She used to take me to old monastery outside capital. Before war, before everything. If she's coming, that's where she'll be. Then we go, Daveth decided. Tonight, small team, retrieve her, bring her back before wedding. I'll lead team, Kaelan offered. You need to stay here. Can't risk Crown Prince 2 nights before wedding. Can't risk General either, Mira countered. I'll go, with minimal security, less visible. Absolutely not, both princes said. She glared. I'm not delicate. I'm combat medic with 13 years field experience. I can handle extraction mission. Not the point, Daveth said. Point is your target. Going outside palace walls makes you vulnerable. I'm vulnerable anywhere. At least outside I control variables. Argument continued. Finally Garrett intervened. Compromise, Mira goes. Kaelan escorts. Daveth stays here maintaining appearance of normalcy. Small team, fast extraction, in and out before anyone notices. It wasn't ideal, but it was best they'd get. They left at midnight. Mira, Kaelan, and 4 guards Kaelan personally trusted. Old Monastery was 6 miles outside capital. Abandoned since war. Perfect hiding place for fugitive scientists. Journey was tense. Kaelan kept glancing at Mira like she might shatter. She kept checking medical kit, preparing for worst. You really think she's alive? Kaelan asked quietly. Messages were in her handwriting. Referenced things only she would know. Either she's alive or someone went to incredible effort to fake it. Why reveal herself now? Why not earlier? Because earlier, circumstances weren't right. I wasn't in position to protect her. Kingdom wasn't ready to hear truth about Silas. Timing is everything. Monastery emerged from darkness. Stone structure, half collapsed. Overgrown with vegetation, windows dark, no sign of habitation. Looks abandoned, guard observed. That's point, Mira replied. She dismounted, approached cautiously, checked for tracks, found them. Recent, leading to side entrance. Someone was here. She entered alone. Kaelan protested, but she insisted. If Mother was here, she wouldn't reveal herself to strangers. Needed privacy. Inside was dark. Mira lit small torch, illuminated familiar corridors. Chapel where she'd prayed as child. Library where Mother had taught her anatomy. Gardens now overgrown. And in center of chapel, sitting calmly on stone bench, was Dr. Mira Thornhaven, 7 years older, hair white instead of dark, face lined with hardship, wearing simple clothes, but unmistakably alive. Unmistakably Mother. Hello, Mira. Mira's torch shook. You're real. Very. Come here. She crossed distance, stopped arm's length away. Years of grief and anger and longing crashing together. You let me think you were dead. I let everyone think I was dead. Safest for you, for me, for truth I needed to expose. 7 years I mourned you. I know. I'm sorry. Ilara stood, but I needed time to gather evidence, to build case against Silas, to prepare kingdom for what's coming. What's coming? Transformation, evolution. End of alpha dominance, not through violence, but through choice. I've been developing protocol based on original frostbite, formula that allows willing transformation from hierarchical biology to adaptive biology. Choice one should have offered from beginning instead of creating weapon. Mira processed. You're talking about changing fundamental nature of species. I'm talking about offering alternative. Some will choose transformation, some won't. Both valid. But choice needs to exist. That's what I've been building toward. And Silas knows this? He knows. That's why he's trying to kill you. Why he poisoned king and princes. Why he's planning coup. Because Protocol Omega threatens everything he's built. Military power based on alpha supremacy. Control based on biological hierarchy. If people can choose to transform, if Omegas can prove we're essential rather than expendable, his entire power structure collapses. So he's trying to eliminate us before we can reveal alternative. Exactly. Outside, sounds of combat, shouting, weapons fire. Mira spun. What? Ambush, Ilara said calmly. Silas's forces followed you. I expected this. They rushed to entrance, saw Kaelan and guards fighting against 20 attackers. Outnumbered, outmaneuvered, falling back toward monastery. We need to help them, Mira said. We need to survive, Ilara corrected. Come, I have escape route. I'm not abandoning Kaelan. You're not. You're ensuring intelligence survives to expose Silas. That's more important than one battle. Mira hesitated. Every instinct screamed to fight alongside Kaelan. But Mother was right. Intelligence mattered more. Evidence mattered more. She let Ilara pull her deeper into monastery, through hidden passages, into tunnels that led away from fighting. Behind them, sounds of combat intensified, then stopped abruptly. Either Kaelan had won, or he was dead. Mira's chest constricted. We have to go back. We have to keep moving. They emerged 2 miles from monastery. Transport waiting. Driver Mira didn't recognize. But Ilara trusted them. They drove fast toward capital. If Kaelan's dead, Mira started, then Daveth becomes heir, and you marry him instead. Succession continues. That's cold. That's reality. I mourned your father when he died in First War, grieved properly. But grief doesn't stop kingdom politics. Neither does love. You have role to play. Play it. Harsh, but true. Mother had always been practical about death. Came from watching too many die from failed experiments. From executions. From wars that shouldn't have happened. They reached capital as dawn broke. Found palace in chaos. King alive but under heavy guard. Daveth coordinating defenses. Court in panic. And Kaelan's body laid out in royal chapel. Killed in combat. Defending future queen from assassination. Mira stood over him, feeling nothing. Shock too profound for tears. She'd chosen Daveth, had barely known Kaelan. But he'd died protecting her. That meant something. Daveth found her there, face grim. I'm sorry, he was good man, better brother than I deserved. Did you plan this? Words came out flat, accusatory. What? Did you know Mother would lure me out? That Silas would ambush? That Kaelan would die defending me while you stayed safe here? His face went white. You think I orchestrated my brother's murder? I think you benefit from it. Crown prince now, no competition. Marry me and become king without having to share power with Kaelan as general. Daveth grabbed her shoulders. I loved my brother. I didn't always agree with him, but I loved him. I would never. Wouldn't you? You poisoned yourself to test theory. You've planned 17 assassination scenarios. You admitted you want power. Maybe you wanted it enough to eliminate obstacle. He released her. Step back. If you believe that, wedding is off. I won't marry someone who thinks I'm murderer. Silence. Mira processing. Grief making her cruel, looking for someone to blame. Easiest target was man who stood to gain most. But she'd seen Daveth's face when he learned about Kaelan. Had seen genuine devastation. Unless he was excellent actor, unless everything was manipulation. I don't know what I believe, she admitted. I don't know who to trust. My mother appears after 7 years with transformation protocol. Your brother dies, conveniently removing succession complication. Silas is planning coup, and I'm supposed to marry you in 2 days pretending everything's fine. We can postpone. No, mother's right about that much. Kingdom needs stability. Wedding proceeds. But Daveth? She met his eyes. If I find out you planned Kaelan's death, I'll kill you myself, slowly, using every medical technique mother taught me. Noted. He paused. For what it's worth, I didn't plan this. I'm not that ruthless. Let's hope not. Wedding day arrived faster than Mira wanted. Different venue as planned. Palace gardens instead of chapel. Different dress. Simple Omega traditional garb instead of elaborate gown. Different security. Mother's people integrated with palace guards. Watching for threats. Entire kingdom watching. Broadcast to every district. Nobles present. Common people gathered outside palace. Everyone wanting to see Omega choose prince. See succession secured. See stability promised. Mira stood in preparation room, mother helping with final adjustments. First time they'd really been alone since reunion. You're angry with me, Alara observed. You think? I had good reasons for hiding. I'm sure you did. Doesn't make it hurt less. No, it doesn't. Ilara's hands stilled. I'm not good at being mother. Never was. Better at being scientist. At pursuing research. At proving theories. I failed you, I know that. You saved kingdom. Developed cure. Built resistance movement. You did important work. But I wasn't there for you. During Purge. During years after. During everything that mattered. Mira turned. Looked at woman who'd given her life. Who'd abandoned her to pursue greater good. Who'd chosen kingdom over family again and again. I understand why you did it, Mira said quietly. I don't forgive it, but I understand. That's all I can ask. Ceremony began at sunset. Mira walked through gardens on King Garrett's arm. He'd insisted on giving her away. Symbolic. Making royal family claim her officially. Daveth waited at altar, wearing formal prince regalia, face serious, eyes tracking constantly, looking for threats. Priest began traditional vows. Mira barely heard them, scanning crowd, watching for assassins, for Silas's agents, for anyone who might disrupt this. Do you, Mira Thornhaven, take Prince Daveth Blackwater as husband and future king? I do. Do you, Prince Daveth Blackwater, take Mira Thornhaven as wife and future queen? I do. Then by power vested in me by king and kingdom, I pronounce you married. Long live the crown prince and princess. Cheering erupted, guards tensed, but no attack came. Ceremony concluded peacefully. Reception was elaborate, nobles congratulating, commoners celebrating, food and drink flowing, music playing, everything proper wedding should be. Mira stood on balcony overlooking festivities, feeling disconnected, like watching someone else's life. Mother joined her. You're wondering if you made right choice. I'm wondering if any choice was right. Kaelan's dead. Daveth might be murderer. Silas is planning coup, and I'm supposed to smile and play queen. You're supposed to survive. Everything else is secondary. That's bleak philosophy. It's kept me alive 7 years. Below, Daveth was surrounded by nobles, playing political game with practiced ease, smiling, charming, building alliances. He was good at this, natural politician, unlike Kaelan who'd been natural warrior. Do you trust him? Mira asked. I trust that he wants power. Question is what he'll do with it. Build or destroy, reform or maintain. That depends largely on you. Me? You chose him. You're marrying him. You have influence. Use it. I'm Omega. I have no political power. Your future queen. You cured king. You're my daughter. You have more power than you realize. Question is whether you're brave enough to use it. Before Mira could respond, alarms shrieked. Palace lockdown. Threat detected. Silas's forces attacking. Not subtly. Not with assassins. With full battalion. Military assault on palace. Coup happening now. During wedding, maximum chaos, maximum symbolism. Daveth was at Mira's side instantly. We need to move. Secure location. Now. Where? Royal Vault. Designed to withstand siege. We hole up. Wait for loyal forces to respond. They ran. Mira, Daveth, Garrett, Alara. Guards escorting. Through palace corridors as sounds of combat echoed. Heavy weapons fire, explosions, screaming. Silas had brought army to wedding. They reached vault, sealed entrance, reinforced door that could withstand artillery, backup supplies, communication equipment. Daveth activated emergency broadcast. This is Crown Prince Daveth Blackwater. Palace is under attack by forces led by Chief of Defense Silas Thornhaven. This is military coup. All loyal forces are ordered to respond. Protect the king. Protect the kingdom. On monitors, they watch Silas's forces systematically taking palace. Overwhelming guards. Securing strategic points. Professional military operation. And leading them, calm as ever, was Silas Thornhaven, Mira's brother, standing in palace throne room, declaring himself Lord Protector of Kingdom. King Garrett is dead, Silas announced to cameras, killed by frostbite complications. Crown Prince Daveth is traitor who orchestrated King's poisoning. I am assuming emergency powers to maintain stability. He's lying, Garrett said. Very much alive in vault. I'm fine. Doesn't matter, Daveth replied. He controls broadcast. He controls narrative. He's telling Kingdom what he wants them to believe. Then we counter-broadcast, Alar said. She moved to communication console, began overriding Silas's signal. I still have access codes from when I worked here. Watch. She activated palace-wide broadcast. Her face appeared on every screen. Woman supposedly executed 7 years ago. Very much alive. This is Dr. Alara Thornhaven. I am alive. King Garrett is alive. Silas Thornhaven is lying. I have evidence of his bioweapon program, evidence of systematic experimentation on Omegas, evidence of planned coup, broadcasting now. Files uploaded, years of evidence, medical records, testimony, documentation, everything Alara had gathered, displayed publicly, undeniably. Kingdom watched, saw truth, saw betrayal, saw conspiracy exposed in real time. Silas's face on screen went pale. Shut that down, now. But too late. Evidence was out. Kingdom knew. Army knew. His own forces knew. And slowly, soldiers began lowering weapons, began questioning orders, began refusing to fight for cause exposed as treason. Coup collapsed, not through combat, through information, through truth broadcast at critical moment. Silas fled, escaped palace with loyalists, disappeared into night. Hunt would continue, but immediate threat was ended. Mira emerged from vault to chaos, palace damaged, casualties, nobles traumatized, wedding guests scattered, but kingdom intact, king alive, truth revealed. Daveth found her in wreckage. We did it. We survived. Kaelan didn't. No, he didn't. Pain crossed his face. I'm going to make his sacrifice matter. Going to build kingdom he believed in. What kingdom is that? One where Omegas aren't purged, where bioweapons aren't developed, where truth matters more than hierarchy. That's what he died for. That's what I'll build. Mira studied him, saw exhaustion, saw grief, saw determination, saw a man who might actually mean what he said. I'll hold you to that. Good, I'll need someone to keep me honest. They stood together in ruined palace. Wedding day turned battlefield. Romance built on survival rather than love. Future uncertain but possible. Mother approached. Silas will regroup. He has resources. Loyalists, this isn't over. I know, Mira said, but we have something he doesn't. What? Protocol Omega. Choice. Alternative to his hierarchy. If we can offer that to Kingdom, offer transformation to those who want it, his power base crumbles. Alara smiled. Do you understand? I'm learning. Coronation happened 3 days later. Smaller ceremony. Daveth crowned king. Mira crowned queen. Garrett stepping down, choosing retirement after recovery. In throne room, still bearing scars from coup attempt, before court still processing revelations, Mira stood beside husband she barely knew, wearing crown she hadn't wanted, facing future she couldn't predict, but also standing beside mother who'd survived execution, in kingdom learning truth, with possibility of real change. Maybe that was enough, for now. Maybe that was how transformation began, not with grand gestures, with small survivals, with choosing to keep going when everything said quit. Officers eating last, even when officers were queens, especially then. 6 months into their reign, Mira and Daveth received intelligence that Silas had established stronghold in Deadlands, gathering loyalists, building army, preparing counter-coup. But more concerning was what he was doing with that army. Experimenting, using modified frostbite on willing subjects, creating soldiers adapted to toxin, building military force that could operate in contamination zones no one else could enter. He's turned my research into weapon again, Alara said, reviewing reports. Just like before, just like always. They were in war room, Mira, Daveth, Alara, and military council. Maps of Deadlands spread across table, intelligence reports stacked everywhere. Situation deteriorating daily. We can't let him establish permanent base in Deadlands, General Marcus argued. He'll have territory we can't attack, staging ground for indefinite resistance. We also can't attack without casualties we can't afford, Daveth countered. Deadlands contamination kills normal troops. We'd need hazmat equipment, specialized training, time we don't have. Then we offer alternative, Mira said. All eyes turned to her. We offer Protocol Omega, voluntary transformation. Soldiers who choose adaptation can operate in Deadlands safely, match Silas's forces, but on our terms, with choice instead of coercion. Silence. Then explosion of objections. You're talking about changing fundamental biology of our troops, Marcus protested. I'm talking about giving them option. Transform and serve in Deadlands campaign, or remain unchanged and serve elsewhere. Their choice. No Alpha will choose to become Omega, another general scoffed. That's weakness. That's adaptation, Ilara corrected. And you'd be surprised. I've been developing Protocol Omega for 6 months, testing on volunteers. We have 37 successful transformations, all military veterans. All chose adaptation over hierarchy. Where, Daveth asked. Greymore Monastery, where Mira hid for 7 years. I've been using it as research facility, building proof of concept, demonstrating transformation is viable, safe, reversible if desired. Reversible? Mira leaned forward. You didn't mention that. Recent development. Body can adapt both directions given right trigger. Choice isn't permanent, just long-term commitment. Minimum 1 year before reversal is safe. Game changer. If transformation wasn't permanent, if soldiers could choose adaptation temporarily, resistance would decrease, fear would decrease, possibility would increase. How many doses do you have? Daveth asked. Currently, 50, but I can synthesize more. Given proper facilities and time, could produce thousands. How long? For thousands, 3 months minimum. We don't have 3 months, Marcus said. Intelligence suggests Silas attacks in 6 weeks. We need solution now. Then we use what we have, Mira decided. 50 doses, elite strike force, volunteers who choose transformation. We send them into Deadlands, not to attack Silas directly, to offer his soldiers same choice. Transform or leave, give them alternative to following him. You're proposing we convert his army, Daveth said slowly. Ideological warfare instead of military combat. Exactly. Silas's power comes from loyalty, from soldiers following him. If we give them better option, loyalty crumbles, army dissolves, coup ends without bloodshed. Or they choose Silas and we've armed enemy forces with adaptation capability, Marcus countered. Possible, but I don't think so. Soldiers followed Silas because he promised power, promised hierarchy would protect them. If we prove adaptation offers more, offers choice, offers future without constant warfare, they'll choose us. Daveth looked at Alara. You think this works? I think it's only option that doesn't result in massive casualties. Traditional assault on Deadlands stronghold means thousands dead. This offers alternative, worth trying. I agree, Daveth decided. We implement Protocol Omega, recruit volunteers, transform strike force, send them into Deadlands with offer of choice. See what happens. Recruitment began immediately, broadcast to all military personnel. Explanation of Protocol Omega, Offer of voluntary transformation. Emphasis on choice and reversibility. Mira expected dozens to volunteer. Got hundreds. Veterans who'd survived Northern Campaign. Soldiers who'd lost comrades to purge. Common troops tired of hierarchy that treated them as expendable. But they could only transform 50, needed to choose carefully. Selection process took 2 weeks. Medical screening, psychological evaluation, background checks. They needed people who could handle transformation physically and mentally, who could be trusted in crisis, who would honor mission over personal gain. Final 50 included surprising diversity, 20 alphas, 15 betas, 15 omegas already, mixed ages, mixed backgrounds, all united by choice to transform, to try something different. Transformation ceremony happened at Greymore. Private, sacred. Mira insisted on witnessing. Daveth came too, wanting to understand process that might determine Kingdom's future. 50 volunteers received injection. Alara's refined protocol omega formula. Watched as bodies began adapting. Crystallization spreading. Different from frostbite poisoning. This was controlled, intentional. Converting hierarchy biology to adaptive biology at cellular level. Pain was evident. Bodies fighting change, instincts screaming that this was wrong. But volunteers endured, choosing adaptation over comfort, choosing future over familiarity. Process took 6 hours. When finished, 50 transformed soldiers stood, looking different. Skin tones shifted, eyes reflecting light differently. Pheromone signatures changed. No longer strictly alpha or beta or omega. Something new, something evolved. How do you feel? Mira asked first volunteer. Young alpha woman who'd lost squad to frostbite poisoning. Different, lighter somehow, like burden I didn't know I carried is gone. She tested limbs, checked reflexes. Hierarchy instincts are fading, urge to dominate, to establish rank. It's just quiet now. I can choose how to interact instead of being driven by biology. Do you regret transformation? No, this is better. I'm better. Others reported similar experiences. Loss of hierarchical instincts, gain of flexibility, sense of freedom from biological imperatives they'd never question. Not everyone adapted easily. 3 volunteers struggled, bodies rejecting change, immune systems fighting. But Alara had protocols for this, supplemental treatments, managed adaptation. All 3 eventually stabilized. 50 transformed soldiers, 50 people who'd chosen evolution over stagnation. Now to see if they could convince Silas's forces to choose same. Strike Force departed 1 week later. Mira insisted on joining. Daveth protested, argued, commanded. Nothing worked. I'm queen, she said finally, which means I don't take orders. Even from king. I'm going. Deal with it. You're infuriating. You married me anyway. Moment of weakness. Too late to back out now. He kissed her. Still awkward. Still learning. But honest. Come back alive. Officers eat last. I'll be fine. Strike Force crossed into Deadlands at dawn. Contamination readings spiked immediately, but transformed soldiers adapted, bodies metabolizing toxins, converting poison to energy, moving through environment that would kill unchanged humans. Journey to Silas's stronghold took 3 days. They moved carefully, avoiding detection, scouting defenses, learning patterns. Stronghold was former military installation, fortified, well-supplied, defended by approximately 200 soldiers. All exposed to modified frostbite, all showing partial adaptation. Silas had been experimenting on them, forcing transformation through toxin exposure rather than offering choice. Soldiers looked miserable, skin crystallizing painfully, bodies fighting change, trapped between human and adapted. Suffering because Silas hadn't developed complete formula, hadn't offered proper protocol omega, had just exposed them and hoped they survived. This is criminal. Transformed soldier muttered. He's torturing them. He's testing limits, Mira replied. Seeing how much exposure body can tolerate before death. That's how he operates. People are experiments, data points, not individuals. They waited until nightfall. Then Mira walked openly toward Stronghold, broadcasting message on all frequencies. Visible, unarmed, offering choice. Soldiers of Deadlands. I'm Queen Mira Blackwater. I'm here with offer. Protocol Omega, complete transformation formula. reverses painful partial adaptation you're experiencing, provides full metabolic conversion, allows survival in Deadlands without suffering. Ask as you listen. Consider alternative. Make choice. What guys? Weapons trained on her immediately. Guards shouting warnings. But no one fired. They were curious, desperate, willing to hear more. Silas emerged, looking older, harder. 7 months as fugitive had changed him. Sister, how nice of you to deliver yourself. Brother, how disappointing that you're still experimenting on unwilling subjects. They're willing. They chose to follow me. They chose because you promised power, promised hierarchy would protect them, but you're torturing them, forcing incomplete transformation. I'm offering complete one, with choice, with dignity. Your protocol Omega is weakness, surrender of alpha superiority. I'm building enhanced soldiers, superior beings. You're building victims. Look at them, they're suffering. Silas gestured. Soldiers stepped forward. Mira saw their faces, saw pain, saw crystallization spreading uncontrolled, saw desperation. I'm offering cure, she said directly to them. Complete transformation. Ends pain, provides full adaptation, allows reversal after minimum 1 year if desired. But it's your choice, not your commander's. Yours. Don't listen to her, Silas commanded. She's trying to corrupt you, make you weak. I'm trying to stop your suffering, Mira countered. Silas has incomplete formula. I have complete one, developed by our mother. The same woman he claims is dead but who's very much alive. Who's been developing Protocol Omega for 7 years specifically to offer choice he's denying you. Murmuring through ranks, soldiers looking at each other, questioning, doubting. One step forward. Young Beta, face half crystallized, voice rough from toxin exposure. You're saying you can cure this? Make it stop hurting? Yes, complete transformation ends pain, provides full adaptation. You become like my strike force, she gestured. 50 transformed soldiers emerged from darkness, looking healthy, strong, free from suffering. They chose transformation. They're thriving. You can too. It's trick, Silas said. She wants to turn you against me. I want to give them choice you're denying, Mira replied. Just like you denied choice to 500 Omegas during Purge. Just like you denied choice to Mother before execution. Just like you've denied choice to everyone who threatened your power. I maintain order, structure, hierarchy that keeps kingdom functioning. You maintain control. There's difference. More soldiers stepping forward, asking questions, wanting details. Silas's control fracturing, his face going from confident to desperate. Anyone who deserts will be executed, he threatened. By whom? Mira asked. Army that's leaving you? Guards who are considering same choice? You have no power here, no authority, just failed experiment in suffering people. Silas drew weapon, pointed at Mira. This ends now. It does, she agreed, but not how you think. Elara stepped from shadows, alive, present, confronting son who'd betrayed her. Hello, Silas. He went pale. You're dead. I'm transformed, adapted, evolved beyond hierarchy you cling to. I've been living in Deadlands for 7 years, thriving, building community, proving alternative works, all while you've been torturing soldiers trying to force what should be chosen. You abandoned kingdom, faked execution, you're traitor. I survived execution you helped orchestrate. I've been gathering evidence of your crimes, broadcasting truth about bioweapon program, exposing systematic abuse. That's not treason, that's accountability. Silas's weapon wavered. I did what was necessary to protect kingdom, to maintain order. You did what was convenient, to maintain power, to feel superior. But it's over. Your soldiers are leaving. Your coup failed. Your torture experiment is ending. You have choice now. Surrender and face trial, or flee deeper into Deadlands and die alone. There's third option. He aimed a weapon at heart. I refuse to surrender. I refuse to flee. I refuse your transformation. Then you choose death, Elara said quietly. Just like you chose death for Omegas during Purge. For Mother you helped execute. For nephew Kaelan who died defending Mira. All your choices lead to death. Have you noticed? His hand shook. I was protecting kingdom. You were protecting ego, but ego isn't worth dying for. Weapon lowered, slowly. Silas collapsing to knees. I can't go back, can't face trial, can't admit I was wrong. Then transform, Mara said. Protocol Omega offers fresh start. Become something new. Let go of hierarchy that's poisoning you. Choose adaptation. I'd rather die. That's still choice, just wasteful one. He looked at Gunn, at sister, at mother, at soldiers abandoning him, at empire built on control crumbling to nothing. If I transform, if I admit I was wrong, what happens? You face trial for war crimes, Daveth said, emerging with reinforcements. You answer for purge, for bioweapon program, for coup attempt, for Kaelan's death, for everything. But you face it as person capable of change, not monster locked in hierarchy. That's not mercy. It's not supposed to be. It's justice, with possibility of redemption, more than you gave others. Silas processed, wrestling with ego, with pride, with admission that everything he'd built was wrong. Finally, I'll transform, I'll face trial, but I want guarantee. Soldiers who followed me receive amnesty. They were following orders. Don't punish them for my crimes. Agreed, Daveth said. Anyone who chooses Protocol Omega receives amnesty, clean slate, fresh start. Then I choose transformation. He received injection, began adapting, process more painful for him, body fighting change, hierarchy instincts deeply ingrained. But Alara monitored, provided supplemental treatment, managed adaptation. Silas transformed, became something other than Alpha who'd orchestrated purge, other than brother who'd betrayed family, something new, something that might eventually become better. His soldiers chose transformation too. All 200 received Protocol Omega, adapted, ended suffering, chose evolution over loyalty to failed leader. Deadland's stronghold became Transformation Center, place where choice was offered, where people could become something different, where hierarchy gave way to cooperation. News of Silas's surrender spread, of Protocol Omega's success, of 200 soldiers choosing transformation. Kingdom watched, processed, began asking questions. Could they choose too? Could they transform? Could they try alternative to hierarchy that had governed species for millennia? Demand exploded, thousands requesting Protocol Omega, wanting choice, wanting adaptation, wanting to see what life without hierarchical instincts felt like. Alara worked frantically, synthesizing formula, training medical staff, establishing transformation protocols. But demand exceeded capacity, would take years to transform everyone who wanted it. This is good problem to have, she said, exhausted but satisfied. Mira agreed. Watch Kingdom evolving, not through force, through choice, exactly as it should be. Silas's trial happened 6 months later. Public, broadcast, evidence presented, testimony given, his crimes laid bare. He didn't deny anything, admitted to purge, to bioweapon program, to coup attempt, to years of systematic abuse. I believed hierarchy was necessary, he testified. Believed Omegas were weak, believed order required control. I was wrong. Transformation has shown me alternatives I couldn't see before. Doesn't excuse what I did, just explains it. Verdict was guilty. Sentence was life imprisonment. But with Protocol Omega access, with medical care, with possibility of eventual rehabilitation, more merciful than execution, less merciful than freedom. Justice balanced with possibility of redemption. Years passed. Kingdom transformed. Gradually, deliberately. 50% choosing Protocol Omega adaptation. 50% remaining unchanged. Both groups coexisting. Learning cooperation. Transformed citizens established communities in reclaimed deadlands. Thriving in an environment that had been toxic. Proving adaptation was viable. Powerful. Essential. Unchanged citizens maintained traditional territories, honoring old ways, keeping history alive, showing that choice included right to remain same, both valid, both honored, both necessary for Kingdom's future. Mira spent those years building medical network, training transformed physicians, distributing Protocol Omega to allied kingdoms. 9 nations eventually adopted program, creating international community of transformed and unchanged living cooperatively. Daveth spent those years reforming governance, creating councils that included transformed and unchanged voices equally, establishing laws protecting both groups, proving leadership could serve without hierarchy. Their marriage evolved, slowly, From political necessity to genuine partnership. From strangers to friends to something deeper. Built on shared crisis, shared transformation, shared commitment to building something better. 5 years after Protocol Omega launch, Mira discovered she was pregnant, first child of transformed parents. Proof that adaptation didn't eliminate fertility, proof that evolution continued. She told Daveth in Royal Gardens, same place they'd married, same place coup had happened, same place they'd survived impossible odds. We're going to be terrible at this, he said, holding her. Probably, but we'll figure it out together. That's what we do, figure things out together. She smiled. Officers eat last. Officers eat last. Their child was born healthy, normal, showing no signs of forced transformation. Would have same choice as everyone else when old enough. Transform or remain. Decision would be theirs. Name chosen. Kaelan Ilara Blackwater. Honoring brother who'd died protecting Mira. Honoring grandmother who'd developed Protocol Omega. Honoring those who'd sacrificed for better future. On child's naming day, celebration happened across kingdom. Transformed and unchanged gathering. Celebrating new life. Celebrating choice. Celebrating 5 years of peaceful coexistence. Silas attended under guard. Transformed. Rehabilitated partially. Still serving sentence but granted supervised leave for family occasions. Held nephew carefully. Face showing something Mira had never seen before. Genuine emotion. Unguarded. Real. I'm sorry, he said quietly, for everything. For purge, for betrayals, for years of control. I know, Mira replied. Doesn't fix it, but it's start. Will you ever forgive me? I don't know. Ask me in another 5 years. Fair enough. He returned to confinement. But moment had mattered. Acknowledgement had mattered. Possibility of eventual reconciliation mattered. That evening, Mira stood with Daveth on same balcony where they'd watched coup unfold. Where they'd fought for survival. Where they'd chosen each other. Kingdom spread below them. Lights from transformed settlements and reclaimed deadlands. Lights from unchanged cities maintaining tradition. Both thriving, both valued, both protected. We did it, Daveth said. Built something better. We built something different. Whether it's better depends on who you ask. Fair, but it's better than what we had. War, purge, bioweapon programs, forced hierarchy. This is improvement. This is choice. That's what matters. Choice and partnership. Couldn't have done this alone. Good thing you married well. Best decision I made after admitting I was terrible at romance. You're still terrible at romance. But I'm honest about it. That counts. She laughed. It does. They stood together, watching stars emerge. Holding child who represented future. Representing themselves choice and adaptation and possibility. Officers eating last. Kingdom eating first. Balance finally achieved. Not perfect. Never perfect. But working, growing, evolving. Exactly as it should be. In Deadlands, Alara worked with transformed community. Developing next-generation protocols, studying long-term adaptation effects, building medical knowledge that would serve species for generations. In traditional territories, unchanged citizens maintained culture, preserved history, honored past while accepting present. In hybrid communities, transformed and unchanged lived together, raised families, built businesses, proved cooperation was possible. In prisons, Silas and other coup participants served sentences while receiving Protocol Omega benefits, transforming, rehabilitating, some eventually released, some remaining incarcerated, justice balanced with mercy. In Royal Palace, Mira and Daveth govern, not through hierarchy, through service, through listening, through honoring both choices kingdom had made. In Medical Institute named for Kaelan, young physicians trained, learning from mother's research, developing new protocols, continuing evolution. In schools, children learned history, both versions, hierarchies, failures, transformations, possibilities, both lessons necessary for understanding. In future, possibilities expanded, 9 kingdoms adopting Protocol Omega, international cooperation increasing, old conflicts fading as choice replaced coercion, world transforming, slowly. One choice at a time, one person at a time, one generation at a time. Mira watched it happen. Knowing mother would be proud, knowing Kaelan's sacrifice had mattered, knowing her choice to transform kingdom rather than rule through hierarchy had been right. Not easy, never easy, but right. Officers eating last, Omegas eating first, everyone eating eventually. That was victory. That was transformation. That was future worth building. And Mira, Once expendable Omega combat medic, now queen and mother and architect of evolution, stood with husband and child watching future unfold. Think our child will choose transformation? Daveth asked. Hope they'll choose whatever feels right. That's gift we're giving. Actual choice. Good gift. Best we can offer. They returned inside. To family. To responsibilities. To life they'd built from impossible circumstances. Transformation complete, not through violence, through choice. Evolution achieved, not through force, through offer. Future secured, not through control, through cooperation. Kingdom saved, not by heroes, by ordinary people choosing to be extraordinary, by officers eating last, by queens eating never, by families eating together, by choice honored, by transformation offered, by hierarchy released, by wolves of long winter learning that survival meant adaptation, and adaptation meant choosing to change, again and again, every day, forever. That was Protocol Omega. That was future. That was legacy. Worth everything it cut, worth everything still to come, worth choosing, again and again, always.